my name is Shubham Sagar. Today we have to talk about Marathas and this is lecture 29. So do revise the previous 28 lectures and the orientation session. See, when we talk about Marathas per se, the most important or the recurring question which I have heard a lot, or which I have been asked a lot rather, is difference between Peshwa and Chhatrapati. Many people get confused between who is a Peshwa, who is a Chhatrapati, what is the difference between them. So we have, and once this particular lecture is done, you will understand the difference between Peshwa and Chhatrapati apart from so many other things. Fine. So if we talk about Maratha Kingdom, Maratha Empire in general, the time period is 1674 to 1818. And here we'll talk about, initially we'll talk about, Shivaji Maharaj, Shambhaji Maharaj, Raja Ram. So here the story is revolving around Chhatrapati. But when we will move forward from Shivaji Maharaj, Shambhaji Maharaj, Raja Ram Sir to Sahu, and then during a particular period of Sahu, you will witness the emergence of a particular Peshwa. Peshwas were there before as well. But when we will talk about this particular Peshwa, you will see a hereditary succession from him onwards. And from there, you will see the real power of Peshwa. Chhatrapati will go in the background, Peshwa will come to the foreground, and we'll talk about that as well. Let's start the discussion first of all. So Maratha Kingdom. And again, if you trace the history of Marathas, if you trace this particular time period, always study. The biggest issue people associate with history is they study in silos. Never do that. So when we are looking at this particular period, 1674 to 1818, so you will see that this particular period is merging with a period of Aurangzeb and then the later Mughal rulers. So in a way, Marathas took advantage of the declining power of the Mughals. Aurangzeb at that time, the power was, or Mughals were formidable, and that's why you will see so many issues happening during this period. But when we'll talk about, let's say, or we have talked about later Mughal rulers earlier, so you will realize that from the later Mughal rulers onwards, you will see, the rise of Marathas, upward and upward they will go. So we'll talk about that as well. So Maratha Kingdom constituted in Western Deccan and blah, blah, blah. You can have a look at this. So here there are multiple factors, and this is what we call as Mauke Pe Chauka. The declining Marathas, or rather declining Mughals, that particular thing, or that particular, factor will play a crucial role in the emergence of Marathas. Not that Marathas actually needed it. Shivaji, he during his whole period, you will see how much he played with Aurangzeb, so to say. And we still have a movie also, Chhawa, based on Shivaji's son, Shambhaji Maharaj. So you can understand what issues they face. But again, I hope you're understanding what we're discussing here. They took the real advantage of declining Mughals. That is the point which we are discussing here, Mauke Pe Chauka. Fine. So this is a question which is important. They can give you these particular points in, pre also. You can use these particular points in mains as well. What led to the rise of Marathas as a prominent power? First of all, they adopted guerrilla tactics. What happens in guerrilla tactics? Let's say you have watched Chhawa movie, then maybe you know about these guerrilla tactics. So sometimes they will be at the hills, so they can see from the hills who are coming from down below, so they can prepare their arsenals accordingly. Sometimes they will go to certain areas, they will poison the pond, and and the enemies will come and they will die in huge numbers. So all these kind of tactics and so many other tactics comes under guerrilla warfare rather. They build a number of forts on the mountains, spread of Bhakti movement. We have talked about Bhakti movement, Sufi movement. We have seen NCRT chapters. We have seen in Maharashtra, there were Varkari sect and Dharkari sect, how they promoted or how they inculcated something known as Marathi pride or Maratha pride. That played a crucial role. That was a social movement which brought about the social unity of Marathas, and their political unity will be brought by the Maratha Empire, so to say. So spread of Bhakti movement in Marathas inculcated a spirit of religious unity among the Marathas, and this particular Maratha unity was, taken advantage of by the Maratha Empire. And again, what led to the rise? The spiritual leaders like Tukaram, Ramdas, Eknath. Again, you can revise Bhakti movement. We have talked about them. We have talked about Varkari sect as well as Dharkari sect. This Bhakti movement, this Vitthal Pandharpur movement, this gives them social unity. The political unity will be conferred by Shivaji Maharaj. The Marathas held important position. Again, you can have a look at this in the Deccan Sultanate of Bijapur and Ahmednagar. Again, let's do a chronology thing. So we are talking about Maratha 1674 to 1818. When we talk about, let's say, first of all, let's talk about Bahmani kingdom. They started from 1347 and then they started disintegrating, and disintegration process was completed by 1529, at the end period of Krishna Dev Roy. And then Deccan Sultanate emerged. So Deccan Sultanate, these guys, they will be there up until the end years of Aurangzeb, and Marathas worked under them. So whenever you are seeing these kingdoms or sultanates, always do a quick revision. What were like their chronology, with which particular year or time period we associate them. So these are some important factors which we have to keep in mind. So let's recap. Broadly, this Bhakti movement in Maharashtra, we have talked about it. Please revise Bhakti and Sufi movement very diligently. Bhakti movement, Sufi movement, Buddhism, Jainism, these are topics which are very important from UPSC perspective, UPSC Prelims 2025 perspective. So Varkari and Dharkari sect. So Varkari sect, they talk about vegetarianism, going to Vitthal and Pandharpur temple. Dharkari sect is like, look inside yourself, you will see God within you. Inner purity, they focus more on that. So Varkari and Dharkari sect. And how you will remember the name of these founders? Ram ka naam or Ram ka naam ek. Ram ka naam ek. So again, this will help you in remembering the founders. Realization of God as the highest end of human life is common aim of both. Internal purity, inner purity, salvation, all these things we have discussed a lot, talked about a lot. So let's come to the present now. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. This was a time period 1630 to 1680 AD, 50 years. A very small time period if you look at the average life expectancy now. So yes, but this particular time period was full of, valor and warfare and heroics. So 1674, he will be coronated as the Maratha chief Chhatrapati, and then we'll see what will happen. Around 1680 he will die, and then Shambhaji Maharaj will took over. After that Raja Ram will took over. In between there will be a battle of Raigad, which is important, in which Shahu, who is the son of Sambhaji, he will be taken hostage by the Mughals. Then later on they will release Shahu, but there is a reason behind it. What is that reason, or what was that reason? We'll talk about it as well. So Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Maratha aristocrat from mostly clan, and again you can see here independent Maratha kingdom with Raigad as its capital. This is Raigad, which you can see in this particular image. He was crowned as Chhatrapati. So currently we are talking about Chhatrapati. All these Chhatrapatis, they had an Ashtapradhan model. Do remember these words. These words are actually important. Ashtapradhan, Ashtadiggajaz, with which kingdom? Again, if you know it, you can post it in the comment section. Ashtadiggaja is associated with which particular, ruler or empire. Fine. So Ashtapradhan model they had, and they had Peshwas. But these Peshwas were in the background when we are talking about Shivaji Maharaj, Shambhaji Maharaj, Raja Ram, etc. So Chhatrapati of the new Maratha kingdom in 1674, and thus starts the Maratha kingdom from 1674, and it will go until 1818, when Third Anglo-Maratha War will happen. So Shivaji had two sons, Sambhaji and Rajaram, who had different mothers, so they were half brothers. Again, you can have a look at it. So 1680, Shivaji Maharaj died. 1681, Sambhaji succeeded to the crown after his father's death. So it is said that, and again, if you have watched Chhawa, you know about it. Shivaji Maharaj initially was little, involved in different vices. Then he started waging warfare against the Mughals, and he rarely, lost any battle. He was that, ferocious and that brave, and adjectives will be not enough to define the heroics of Shambhaji Maharaj. So again, but then, treachery and all those stuff happened, and in 1689 things will change for the worse for Marathas, and then Sambhaji's brother Raja Ram will take over. So we'll talk about this. So to nullify the alliance, let's see, Akbar too, he is the son of Aurangzeb, and we have discussed when we talked about why Aurangzeb wanted to conquer the Deccan region. This was one of the region we have talked about, that his son rebels and Akbar too went in the southern area. And he had alliance with not only Deccan Sultanate rulers but even the Maratha. So Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb headed south in 1681, and he stayed there from almost 1681 till 1707. And we are talking about, how Mughals and Aurangzeb is taking deep interest in the southern region now. So during the 8 years that followed from this particular period, 1681 to 1689, Shambhaji Maharaj led the Marathas, rarely lost any battle, but again, treachery, and when your own people, do stuff which shouldn't be done, then you can't do anything. And then he was ambushed and captured and executed very brutally. If you read history books, you will realize how brutally Shambhaji Maharaj was killed. So upon Sambhaji's death, his brother Raja Ram, and here you will see something called as Battle of Raigad or Siege of Raigad, in which Shambhaji Maharaj's son Shahu will be, taken off or captured by the Mughals. They will keep Shahu with themselves, and then they will later release him around 1707. So have like Mughals have a change of heart or something? No. They will follow a policy which will be known as divide and rule. What does it mean? I will tell you. So Sambhaji sir has died in 1689. His half brother Raja Ram will assume the throne and he will continue fighting against the Mughals. But in 1700, Raja Ram will die, and then his wife Tarabai will took over. So now 1707 is the time period. Shahu Maharaj, he has been released, who is Sambhaji's son. So now Shahu Maharaj and Tarabai, they will have an issue, and that was the main intention of Mughals, to release Shahu, so that, you know, divide and rule policy, divide and conquer policy, many rulers, many kingdoms, many EIC, all these guys, they followed it. And even today, many political parties and parties here, there, everywhere, they follow it. And the same policy was followed by Mughals. Divide and rule. Release Shahu, create a discord within the Marathas itself, and just enjoy, like, and see whatever is happening, weaken them further. So that is the basic aim, and we'll talk about it. Sambhaji Maharaj died, and in 1689, half brother Rajaram took over, and then he will keep on fighting against the Mughals, and then he will die in 1700. So Rajaram died in 1700 at Singhad. His widow Tarabai assumed control in the name of her son Ram Raj, because Shivaji too is very small right now, and Aurangzeb will die in 1707. And then, you know, we have talked about later Mughal rulers, Muazzam, Azam and all those. So Bahadur Shah I will come into picture. Bahadur Shah II is Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was the leader during the revolt of 1857. Please don't get confused between Bahadur Shah I and II. You can easily get confused there. Fine. So now what will happen? Shahu will be released by Bahadur Shah I, not because of change of heart, but because of divide and conquer. They want to divide Marathas so that they can weaken Marathas. So, and you will see that's what exactly happened, but they didn't get weakened. In fact, they kept on adding to their strength, the Marathas, till the time of 1761, when the third battle of Panipat will happen. But even that, after that particular period, you will see Maratha resurrection, which will happen, and we have to discuss about that as well. So Shahu immediately claimed the Maratha throne and challenged his aunt Tarabai. In here, he will be held by a Peshwa known as Balaji Vishwanath. Up until then, this particular period, Peshwas were there, but they were in the background. But this Balaji Vishwanath, he will become so powerful during the reign of Shahu Maharaj. Shahu Maharaj will rule from 1708 to 1749 as Chhatrapati. But he is like, dude, Balaji Vishwanath, I trust you so much. You rule on my behalf. I am in the background. So from now onwards, you will see Chhatrapati will remain in the background and Balaji Vishwanath will take over. And then hereditary succession will start as far as Peshwas go. And then later on, you will see something else happening. Nana Fadnavis, and who is he and how he will dictate terms. We'll talk about that as well. So Shahu appointed Balaji Vishwanath. He played a crucial role in ensuring that Shahu Maharaj becomes the Chhatrapati, and then things changed as far as, you know, Peshwa and the role of Peshwa is concerned. So Mughals and changing nature of Marathas. Long history of suppression. 1689, Aurangzeb defeated and killed Shivaji's son and successor Sambhaji Maharaj and captured his son Shahu. And thus the whole Maratha nation rose in arms against the Mughals. Younger son of Shivaji, Rajaram, he carried on. That is what we have discussed up until now. He died in 1700, and then Tarabai was ruling. 1707, Shahu is released by Bahadur Shah I. You have to remember the ruler. And Shahu, and again, so intikam lunga main, that means I will take revenge, is in the mind of Rajaram, because he has lost his brother Sambhaji. So again, let's move on, sir and ma'am. In 1707, after Aurangzeb's death, again we are trying to do a revision what we have just discussed. So a division witnessed, one led by Tarabai, other led by Shahu, and in this particular, you know, small battle, whatever you want to call it, Shahu won and he became the Chhatrapati, and he was very much indebted to Balaji Vishwanath, who will become the real Peshwa, who will start the hereditary succession. After him, people related to him will become the Peshwa. So again, here, so all this gave rise to a new system of administration under the leadership of Balaji Vishwanath, the Peshwa of King Shahu, and this will be, you know, the starting of the Peshwa domination. Hope you understood this thing up until now. What is the relationship between Chhatrapati and Peshwa? And then you will see around 1750 something else will happen, and then almost Peshwas will be everything. Chhatrapati will be, like right now also you will see they are reduced to a nominal nature. They will reduce, or you know, their stature will be reduced to a certain extent more, if we put it in a milder terms, right? Okay, sir and ma'am. So Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath, 1730 to 1720. He is the first but sixth. What does it mean? Before him, 5 Peshwas were there, but these guys were not that means not that powerful, and neither they ensured hereditary succession. But he is the real Peshwa, he is the real deal, and that's why he is also known as first but sixth. Shah appointed Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath in 1713. Again, you can see it. He is called as the second founder of Maratha Empire. From here, you will see, Marathas rising and, rapidly gaining territories here, there, and everywhere, and establishing their stranglehold, so to say. We'll talk about Baji Rao, we'll talk about Baji Rao, what will be happening, how they'll be expanding their territories further. Fine. So in 1790, now we have to do a, we have to keep a track of what is happening in the north when Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath is here. So this is a period when later Mughal rulers or rule has started, from 1707 onwards. 1713, 1720, Farrukh Siyar is ruling, and you may have heard about it that Farrukh Siyar was killed by Sayyid brothers. In that, Balaji Vishwanath helped a lot. Balaji helped Sayyid brothers, and again we have talked about Farrukh Siyar. There was an issue with the Marwar ruler or something. We have talked about that as well. There was a Kanwar ma'am, and she was the last Rajput princess married to a Mughal ruler. So there were so many issues. Many people did not like Farrukh Siyar, and Sayyid brothers wanted to get rid of them. Balaji Vishwanath helped them. In return, Mughals give them a imperial order, Mughal Sanad, which ensured Marathas so many areas from where they could collect Chaut and Sardeshmukhi. And it gave them the much needed financial stability, which was so required at that particular point of time, and made them a very, very formidable power in the central and southern India, and later on North India as well. So now the question here is, the brain of Balaji Vishwanath was very awesome. Now the question here is, who was the Mughal ruler who issued this particular Mughal Sanad or imperial order? Because this is important. This is very, very important, associated with the Magna Carta of Maratha Empire. So who was the ruler? That is an important question. If you know it, you can post about it in the comment section. And he is a later Mughal ruler, but obvious, because we are talking about, and Farrukh Siyar is gone. Like, he is the 10th ruler, if I'm not wrong. So who was that 11th ruler? He was Rafi-ud-Dazarat, and then Shah Jahan II came. And we have talked about him, how these two guys, Rafi-ud-Dazarat and Shah Jahan II, they both died in quick succession of TB, tuberculosis. And TB was a very big thing at that point of time. Even one Peshwa will die of TB, wasting disease. Now, if you know what is a wasting disease, you can post it in the comment section. Wasting, stunting. What is the difference between wasting and stunting? Fine, sir and ma'am, let's continue the discussion. So, Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath, 1730 to 1720 AD, Mughal Sanad of 1790 is very important. Who gave this particular Mughal Sanad? The name is Rafi-ud-Dazarat. He is the 11th Mughal ruler. So, as per the Sanad, Marathas, now what is Chaut and Sardeshmukhi? See, these kind of taxes, they were levied by Marathas on non-Maratha land, just to tell them that we will not raid your territories. So Chaut was 25% tax, and Sardeshmukhi was additional 10% on this Chaut. So it is not 35%, it is 25% plus 10% of 25%, which is 25% plus 2.5%, that is 27.5%. Oh my God. So again, in return, let's say they got so much of revenue from, they will be getting so much revenue. So in return, again, there is something called as quid pro quo. We keep on talking about it. If somebody is doing something for you, they will always expect something in return. Quid pro quo. So what is the quid pro quo attached here? The Marathas has to place a contingent of 15,000 soldiers, and they also have to pay a certain amount, that is 10 lakh to the Mughal ruler. Please remember the important question: who issued this Mughal Sanad to Maratha dominion? That is Rafi-ud-Dazarat. In this way, Marathas became the king of the entire Deccan, and this Sanad is regarded as the Maratha or Magna Carta rather of the Maratha dominion. Fine, sir and ma'am. This is important. Do keep it in mind. So, Chaut and Sardeshmukhi, as we have discussed, they were the taxes collected in, not in the Maratha kingdom, but in the neighboring territories. This part you have to remember. Chaut is 25% of the land revenue, and Sardeshmukhi, they have written Sardeshmukhi was an additional levy of 10%. So these points are important from exam perspective. You cannot forget it. So this is Rafi-ud-Dazarat. This is one of the slides I have taken from the later Mughal rulers. discussion which we have had. So again, you can go back and revise that later Mughal ruler discussion, because that is actually a tricky lecture and you need to revise it multiple times. Then only you will get a hang of everything. So Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath. So again, what is happening? He has got this Mughal Sanat, so he has so many territories, he will assign it to different people. And again, this is a form of land grant, and this is known as Saranjam. Now, when you read about these kind of land grant system, you read about Iqtidari system in Delhi Sultanate, Mansabdari Zagirdari system in Mughal period, and then Amram system in Vijayanagar, and then Mukasha system in Amram in Vijayanagar and Mukasha in Marathas. So these are land grant system. So Mokasha we hear about Maratha. So here we are hearing Saranjam. Are they like same but different? They are same, not different. Saranjam and Mokasha, they are the same system, land grant system. And again, we have discussed about it when we have talked about feudalism per se, that whenever you will have these kind of, Saranjam and all these land grant system, they will lead to emergence of more and more feudal lords. That will lead to emergence of more and more intermediaries between king and the subjects. That will weaken the king, So again, this is also considered as one of the greatest weakness which made king largely dependent upon the Sardars. So after the death of Balaji Vishwanath, he was succeeded by his son Baji Rao I, who was, who fought for 20 years. He was a Peshwa from 1720 to 1740. And please remember, during his period also, Chhatrapati is Shahu Maharaj. Shahu Maharaj will remain Chhatrapati, if I am not wrong, from 1708 to 1749. But he is in the background now, Balaji Vishwanath, and he will keep on like fighting one war after the other. And we have talked about, like you may have watched a movie Bajirao, Ranveer Singh, I think Priyanka Chopra, Deepika Padukone. So he fought so many wars that it is said about Baji Rao I that he died of exhaustion. But the amount of expansion which he did during his reign would help the further Peshwas, Baji Rao, so, to consolidate the empire further. So we'll talk about that as well. Baji Rao I, 1720 to 1740, second but seventh. Hope you are understanding this. He's the second, Peshwa, who's the real Peshwa, real deal, hereditary succession. But before him also there were five. Like, we have talked about all these things, how before Balaji Vishwanath we had 5 more Peshwas, but they did not have much power. Now the situation has completely reversed. So after Balaji Vishwanath's death, here it is written, Bajirao is credited with expanding the blah blah blah. He is considered to be the greatest exponent of guerrilla tactics after Shivaji. Please understand one thing. Here you will see something known as Hindu Pad Shahi. They can ask you which of the following Maratha Peshwas talked about Hindu Pad Shahi. And what is this Hindu Pad Shahi? They wanted to create a Hindu Rashtra, or that, like, we have to have a Hindu dominion where all the Hindu rulers are there, or subject is all Hindu. And again, hope you can understand. So invoking religion is not a new thing. People and rulers, they have invoked religion like in the past a lot. And hope you are understanding what we are discussing. And sometimes it is done when they feel like that would play a crucial role in the consolidation of the so-called empire. So he preached the ideal of Hindu Pad Shahi. This is important. Who preached the ideal? Baji Rao I we are talking about. To secure the support of Hindu chiefs against the Mughals, he proposed the conquest of north against the Mughals. And again, try to understand, here this is a time period. Who is ruling in the north? Who is the later Mughal ruler? He is Rangila. Rangila re, or kya kare kya na kare. That guy who will face defeat from Nadir Shah in Battle of Karnal. So whatever prestige they will, like later Mughal rulers had, that will be lost. 1724. You have Nizamul Mulk creating his own principality in Hyderabad. You have a separate principality carved out in Awadh. So all these things have happened which has, dented the prestige of Mughals further. And that's what Baji Rao I wants to take advantage of. So he's like, let's strike the trunk of the withering tree and the branches will fall off themselves. And again, hope you can understand what he's trying to do. And he was very successful in ensuring that under Baji Rao, Marathas won control of Malwa, Gujarat, parts of Bundelkhand. They are no longer only confined to south and the, Deccan region. They are going to north. In fact, this would be a time period from 1740 etc. onwards when even Mughals will be dependent upon Marathas for so many things. We have talked about it. How from like even 1750 onwards, what will happen, and Shah Alam II, what was his case, Mahadaji Scindia, how he killed, there was a guy who blinded Shah Alam II, Ghulam Qadir. So all these things we have seen, and why, how, like you have something known as de jure, de facto. So how actually in like on paper Mughals were ruling, but in reality Marathas were the one who were calling the shots, especially during some of the later Mughal rulers. We have talked about it. You can read or you can watch that particular later Mughal lecture to get more clarity on that, So under Baji Rao, again, we are talking about all these things. He was a fighting Peshwa. He fought so much that he met a premature death because of exhaustion. It was his forward policy which brought major provinces under Maratha influence by 1760. So again, again 1760 means after him, there will be Balaji Baji Rao, who will be taking advantage of the policies or, adopted by Baji Rao I. Strong foundation could not be laid. Again, here we are talking about what were the basic issues. He continuously fought and fought and fought. So there were certain other areas which he was not paying, adequate attention to, and that's what we are discussing here. Feudal tendency, Saranjan system, Mokasha system, land grant system, in a way was weakening Marathas. But all these things are fine. The major, the battle which changed everything for Marathas was Third Battle of Panipat, which will happen in 1761. We'll talk about it. And it is said that, it's a very funny thing which we talk about Third Battle of Panipat rather, that it did not ensure Afghani people, and we have talked about Afghani Ahmad Shah Abdali, how he developed a taste for India, so-called taste for India. From 1748 to 67, he came 8 times and he entered India 8 times. And so these Afghanis under Ahmad Shah Abdali, they fought with the Marathas. And it is said that Afghans versus Marathas, this Third Battle of Panipat, it did not ensure who will, rule over India. It ensured who will not rule over India. So Afghani and Marathas, they will not rule over India. Even though Afghani won that battle, nobody actually won because everybody got weakened. And EIC took advantage of it. EIC, Battle of Palasi, we have talked about it, 1757. And in between, 1761, Third Battle of Panipat happened and Marathas got weakened further. 1764 Battle of Buxar, EIC is winning, won that particular battle. So everything is going in the upward trajectory for Marathas, means rather EIC, and their enemies are also getting eliminated one after the other. So hope you can understand. Things are happening for the better for EIC, and yeah, we'll talk about that later on as well. So Balaji Baji Rao, 3rd but 8, 1740 to 61, he will carry on the good works of, in fact, he will be held by the policies of Baji Rao I. 18-year-old son of Baji Rao I, Balaji Baji Rao, known as Nana Sahib, became Peshwa. And in this period, this is interesting. So Shahu Maharaj, he was Chhatrapati from 1708 to 1749. Then came 1750, and then in 1750, Shahu's successor Raja Ram II, he was like, Peshwa, you are the one who is calling all the shots, and everything happens based on your whims and fancies. So why am I making enemies? Why, like people are feeling like I am the one who's taking the decision when I'm not. So let's have an agreement where I will write explicitly that all the decisions which is happening or which has been taken, most of these, if not all, are taken by you. So this is Sangola Agreement, Constitutional Revolution of 1750, which transferred the supreme power from Chhatrapati to Peshwa, and thus Peshwa became the de facto ruler of the Maratha Empire. Up until then, even though you have, Shah Maharaj, Chhatrapati and Peshwas, they were doing work, but Chhatrapati, people were like Chhatrapati is saying and Peshwas are doing. All the Peshwas at the front. But now, from now onwards, it will be like, no. All these things, they are being said by Peshwas, they are being done by Peshwas, they are the one who are calling the shots. So that will happen via this Sangola agreement. Do remember it. 8th and the last Chhatrapati will be Pratap Singh. Although many people feel that this Chhatrapati thing, branched further and there were further regional Chhatrapatis, but will not go there. So 8th and the last Chhatrapati was Pratap Singh. And please remember this Sangola agreement associated with what happened during the reign of which particular Peshwa, Balaji Baji Rao. That is important from exam perspective, sir and ma'am. So again, his rule also witnessed the appearance of new powers in the political scene. Afghans, again we have like 1739 Battle of Karnal, and 1748-67 we have talked about it, Ahmad Shah Abdali, Sikh. This also we have talked about, emergence of Sikh during the later Mughal rulers. All these Afghani invasion weakened the extent of Mughal rule in Punjab and will lead to emergence of Sikh principalities, Sikh Muslim, French and the English, and we'll see further battles. And we'll see now Third Battle of Panipat. And Balaji Baji Rao is the one who is involved. They can ask you, who was a Peshwa during the Third Battle of Panipat? And because of the defeat, nobody was expecting that Marathas will be defeated. And neither Balaji Baji Rao was expecting that, and he died because of the shock, whatever he witnessed. during this third battle of Panipat. Maratha Empire reached its zenith, the peak, and now you will see a decline to a certain extent. Although it will be restored, there will be a Maratha resurrection which will be happening from 1761 to 1772 rather. But yes, it was the peak. After annexing whole of mainland India, Marathas now had their eyes upon Punjab, which at that time was ruled by an agent of Ahmad Shah Abdali, who is also known as Ahmad Shah Durrani, who is also known as or considered as the founder of modern Afghanistan. And this led to third battle of Panipat, as we have just discussed. And this question, can be and has been asked in mains as well in different exams, that third battle of Panipat did not ensure who will rule over India, it ensured who will not rule over India. This can be quoted also in mains and you have to keep it in mind. Third battle of Panipat, 14 January and this and that, you remember the date, 1761, year is important. So, forces of Delhi and Marathas met and all these things. Maratha army was completely routed. This episode marked the beginning of decline of Maratha glory and led to death of Balaji Bajirao due to shock. And then we'll see Madhav Rao and all those guys, what will happen. And now the intrigues will start and now EIC will start playing their roles and their, stupid intrigues will increase during the period of Raghunath. So from 1770s onwards, when we'll see first Anglo-Maratha war, you will realize what is happening and how Marathas are getting divided. We have these factions, Holkars and Sindhyas, all these, but you're not hearing much about them. They are there. But when the Maratha Peshwas, these Peshwas, they will get weakened further and further. You will see these, confederacies of Maratha, so-called confederacy like Holkar or Gaikwad or Sindhya, they will be getting more and more powerful, or they will be getting, more and more regional in nature. Or you can say Maratha started becoming more and more localized in nature, these confederacies, so to say. We'll talk about that. So again, neither Marathas nor Abdali benefited out of this battle. The beneficiaries were the British, who grasped the opportunity to expand influence, because two major, so to say, the adversaries of Britishers or EIC were in a way eliminated or, weakened, if we can use that particular word. So, third battle of Panipat did not decide who would rule India, but rather who would not rule India. Therefore, the famous saying, if Plassey had shown the scene of British supremacy in India, Panipat afforded time for their maturing and striking roots, because it eliminated or it weakened two of their major formidable rivals. Fine. And then Balaji Bajirao died due to depression and shock. Balaji Bajirao. And then after him will come Madhav Rao, who is the son of Balaji Bajirao, whose only and the major aim is Maratha resurrection. That means restore the old pride and glory of Marathas. And he will do that, but again he will die at a very early age due to TB. And you can see here, this is the period, this 18th century is the period when so many people are dying of TB. 11th Mughal ruler, Rafiuddazara, 12th Mughal ruler, Shah Jahan II, and now Madhav Rao. He also died because of TB. And his aim was to make his father proud. So he was 17 years old, blah, blah, blah. He was a talented statesman. Within a short period, he restored the lost fortune of Maratha Empire. They can even ask you which particular period is known as the period of Maratha resurrection. And here you will see emergence of a minister known as Nana Fadnavis. Now, just like we have talked about Chhatrapatis and how during the period of Chhatrapati Maharaj, Shahu Maharaj, Balaji Vishwanath came and he started calling the shots. So now what was the, thing which we have seen earlier? So there is something like you have, there was a hierarchy. You had earlier Chhatrapati, so you had Chhatrapati and then Peshwas came. They started calling the shots and now you have Nana Fadnavis. He's not a Peshwa, he's not a Chhatrapati, but he will start calling the shots. So again, this is a very unique chronology. Earlier you had Chhatrapatis, then Peshwas started calling the shots, Chhatrapati went into the background, and now you have Chhatrapati and Peshwas both, but Nana Fadnavis will start calling the shots. He will start deciding that who will be the Peshwa and how long they will rule. They have to rule according to the rules and regulations of Nana Fadnavis. You will hear about a particular Peshwa who became a Peshwa when he was 0 years old. He died when he was 21 years old. He died because one day before his death, he committed suicide. He took a decision, first decision he took against the whims and fancies of Nana Fadnavis. Next day he committed suicide. So you can understand the, the terror of Nana Fadnavis or the influence he enjoyed during this particular period, which we'll be seeing from like 1763 till 1800, 1801. So yes, sir, when all things again, Madhav Rao, now here you have to pay attention. This is Balaji Baji Rao. He had a brother called Raghunath Rao. And this guy Raghunath Rao, he also wanted to be a Peshwa, but his number is not coming. And then you will see later on, this Raghunath Rao will create issues for everyone and anyone. He will go to Britishers. That will lead to First Anglo-Maratha War. We'll talk about that as well. So Narayan Rao, who is he? He is the brother of Madhav Rao, which we have just seen, who died from tuberculosis. And Maratha Empire was in a state of confusion, blah, blah, blah. Again, there is a struggle for power. Raghunath Rao, he is the brother of Balaji Baji Rao, who ruled from 1740 to 61. So 21 years, this brother waited. He did not become Peshwa. Then his, he was the uncle and Madhav Rao became the ruler. And he just waited. And now Narayan Rao has become the Peshwa. He was like, dude, enough. Enough is enough. When will my chance come, bro? This way I will die, bro. And I want to become the Peshwa. So he will start playing the intrigues. Narayan Rao succumbed to intrigues of Uncle Raghunath Rao because uncle is like, bro, I have to kill you or I have to get you killed because I have to become the Peshwa. And all these things will create two groups. One group of Raghunath Rao, other group of Nana Fadnavis, who will be like, how can you do this, Raghunath Rao? I will ensure that you don't become the Peshwa, and I will be deciding now who will become the Peshwa. There will be a Bara Bhai conspiracy where Nana Fadnavis and 11 other people will decide who will become the Peshwa. But again here, Nana Fadnavis is the one who is calling the shots. And Narayan Rao, after dying, went to heaven and he was like, uncle, you did wrong with me. This was not done. This is such a bad thing which you did. Such a bad thing. So Raghunath Rao, 1773 to 1774, 6th but 11th, you can understand this now. He was deposed by Nana Fadnavis and 11 other administration, which is known as Bara Bhai conspiracy. And then he will go to Britishers and he will be like, see what these guys Nana Fadnavis did to me, and I am ready to accept any, clause, conditions you people have, EIC, but help me become the Peshwa. And then we will see First Anglo-Maratha War from 1775 to 1782. Which will be ending with a Treaty of Salbai. It's like a stalemate kind of a thing. Nobody won this particular Anglo-Maratha War. This Raghunath Rao will be given a pension and Nana Fadnavis will ensure who will become the Peshwa. So in a way, everybody was happy. Raghunath Rao got a pension. But again, how happy he was, God knows. But he was like, dude, either get a pension or get yourself killed. So it's your decision. And he was like, fine, I'm fine with the pension part. Don't go at the, don't talk about the killing part per se. So again, sir, please, I need help. Needs. So here we are talking about Raghunath Rao, who will go to Britishers because he's feeling like so much plotting is being done against him. So Madhav Rao too, 1774 to 1795. Who is he? So he will be installed, this is his birth year also. So he is 0 years old when he has been made the 7th but 12th Peshwa of Marathas. And Bara Bhai installed Narayan Rao, posthumous son. So Narayan Rao had a son after he died. And you can understand how that would have happened. So Madhav Rao too, and he was the Peshwa, and Nana Fadnavis was the regent. And under his, so you can understand, Nana Fadnavis is the actual Peshwa. He is the one who is actually calling the shots, actual ruler, we can use that word. And 21 years, he will listen to whatever Nana Fadnavis will tell him, and then one decision he will take, and next day he will commit suicide in 1795. That was the extent of influence Nana Fadnavis enjoyed, which we have discussed. Frustrated by this whole thing which happened, that Madhav Rao too became the Peshwa, Raghunath Rao will go to Britishers, and then the First Anglo-Maratha War will happen. After this, Peshwa's power gradually waned because so many factions, so many divisions you are seeing here, there is a faction of Nana Fadnavis, there is a faction of Raghunath Rao. Then these whole Sindhyas, they are having their own localized influence. All these things will weaken Marathas in general. So Pune became a seat of constant intrigues between supporters of Savai Madhav Rao too, means headed by Nana Fadnavis and the supporters of Raghunath Rao. Britishers are like, EICs are like, let me help you or help me help you. And again, they're just trying to ensure that they, mauke pe chauka, and they just want to take full advantage of the situation. But no, this is also period, there was a mains question, history optional question which was asked, that this whole First Anglo-Maratha War happened when Britishers were at their lowest ebb, their condition was at their lowest ebb. We'll understand that particular scene as well, and that will give you so much conceptual clarity that you can use those particular, things which we'll talk about in that question for pre as well as mains, or from pre as well as mains perspective. Fine, sir. So Madhav Rao to 1774 to 1795, taking advantage. We are seeing there is so many factions developing, and now Holkar, Scindias, Gaikwad, Bhosle, they will also start exercising their own influence in their respective regions, Indore, Gwalior, Baroda, Nagpur. So this we have talked about Maratha Confederacy, and they were there earlier also, but because there is so much division, so much politics, so much factionalism going on, these guys, they will emerge more and more powerful. And we have talked about Mahadaji Sindhya, how he played a crucial role. If you remember, you can go back and revise later Mughal ruler Shah Alam to what happened, how he killed Ghulam Qadir and all those things. Among them, Mahadaji Sindhya of Gwalior was most important, and he was playing a crucial role around 1788. Period again. Revise the later Mughal ruler, you will understand what I am talking about. Madhav Rao too committed suicide in 1795 because he was just too much terrified by Nana Fadnavis, and thus a power struggle ensued among Maratha nobles for control of the confederacy, and this is the decline which we are talking about. Decline has already started. But again, whatever Madhav Rao too sir committed like suicide, nobody should do that. And this is again one of my favorite quotes which I keep on using here, there and everywhere. Suicide is never the answer. You have to outlive your enemies, sir and ma'am. Very good. Baji Rao too, he was the last Peshwa who will be involved in second and third Anglo-Maratha war. The power of Marathas will be lost forever, you know, and then he will be sent to Satara and will be given a meager pension. So by this time, British had grown their full control over the Indian mainland. We are talking about a period 1795, you know. So many wars has happened, Anglo-Mysore war, and again they have emerged victorious there as well. So we are seeing Britishers, they have already like shown to everyone involved, most of the people involved, most of the local rulers involved, that they are here to stay after Battle of Balasi, Buxar, all these Anglo-Maratha, Anglo-Mysore war, and they have, you know, power has grown over the Indian mainland. That's what is being written here. And they will defeat Marathas, the divided Marathas, in the second Anglo-Maratha war and third Anglo-Maratha war as well. Baji Rao too, whenever like he faced some issues, he will go to EIC, and these Maratha clans will be like, dude, this is our internal issue. Why do you go to, you know, EIC for anything and everything? And that will lead to, his first reign will lead to second Anglo-Maratha war, and his next reign will lead to rather third Anglo-Maratha war, and the dissolution of this whole Maratha kingdom, so to say, by 1818. So first reign 1796 to 1802, you can have a look at this. His reign witnessed the second Anglo-Maratha war, what is happening here. And around this period, 1800, 1801, Nana Fadnavis had died. In fact, whatever you say, like, you know, Nana Fadnavis and how that kid committed suicide at age 21 because of the intrigues of Nana Fadnavis or the terror of Nana Fadnavis, but he was the one. Nana Fadnavis was the one who was acting as a glue after the third battle of Panipat. If he would not have been there, God knows what would have happened to the Maratha Confederacy, so to say, or Maratha Empire. But now he is not there, and now so many conspiracies and factions are emerging, and Peshwa will be, like, due to the ongoing conspiracy, he will be like, I'm going to Britishers to take their help, and then a war will happen. You know, Peshwa and the EIC on one side, and some other confederacies, Holkar, etc. on the other side. EIC will emerge victorious, Peshwa will accept subsidiary alliance. So the powers is getting reduced and reduced further if we talk about Marathas per se. So accepted subsidiary alliance and signed the Treaty of Bassein. See, you can forget about, you know, let's say you have to remember Treaty of Bassein, which happened after Second Anglo-Maratha War. But the most important treaty is Treaty of Salbai. You have to remember it, you know, signed after First Anglo-Maratha War, because history optional questions has been framed on First Anglo-Maratha War. So Treaty of Salbai is comparatively more important than Treaty of Bassein, but yes, remember both of them. You cannot forget Treaty of Salbai. So many pre-mains means history optional question has been asked on them. Fine, sir and ma'am, and it provoked the second Anglo-Maratha War. You can have a look at it. We have just discussed all these things. Second reign will start. Third Anglo-Maratha War will happen, and he will be dethroned and pensioned off, and he will be spending near, like, first of all Satara, and then he will go to Kanpur. And later on, his successors will fight in the 1857 revolt, which we'll talk about later on. This way, Maratha dream of establishing their own empire could not be realized, and here we are talking about the same things, that they were not, you know, united. The, like, technology, science and tech, if we talk about, navy, if we talk about, they were not as powerful. Taxation was quite heavy in their areas. Like, we have talked about the outside areas where they were extracting Chaut and Sardesh Mukhi, 25%, 10% more on that 25%. But in their own areas, in some areas, they were extracting almost 50%. That will remind you of Alauddin Khilji, of the Khilji period, you know. So yes, all these were the reasons which led to decline of Maratha Empire. Now let's solve some question, assertion and reason. Marathas emerged as the strongest native power in India after the decline of Mughal Empire. Reason, Marathas were the first to have a clear concept of a united Indian nation. Be very alert when it comes to extreme statements. You know, who were the first to have a clear concept of a united Indian nation? That is again a very debatable concept. The concept of Indian nation, when did it emerge, you know? Earlier we had whole Indian subcontinent under the concept of India. So this is a tricky part. You cannot say for sure, but this part is very true. You know, Marathas emerged as the strongest native power. So A has to be true. If A has to be true, you're left with A, B and C. Reason is false. They were not the first, or you cannot say. Like, they were the first to have the clear concept of a Marathi Manush concept, you know, that Maratha domain, that political domain, social domain and social unity was achieved by Bhakti movement, Vitthal movement, and they gave the political unity. So they were the first to have a clear concept of a united Maratha state per se, we can say that. So second reason is false and the answer is C, A is true, but R is false. This question, you may feel like, sir, we have not, like, which one of the following pair is correctly matched? P, Y, Q. And again, you may feel like we have not read Battle of Chiliawala, Battle of Kharda, but look at it, you know, in a deeper manner. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? Battle of Buxar, Battle of Wandy Wash. So Battle of Buxar, it is not between Mir Jafar and Clive. It is between Mir Qasim and Hector Munro, if I'm not wrong. Battle of Wandy Wash, we have talked about it 1,000 times. Although we have not yet talked about Carnatic Wars, we'll talk about them. But Battle of Wandy Wash, we have talked that it was between French and East India Company 1760. So this is correct. Battle of Chiliawala, it was not between Dalhousie and Marathas. It is associated with Second Anglo-Sikh War. Battle of Kharda, it was between Nizam and Marathas, not East India Company. So what does it mean? There are so many battles which happened. We cannot read each and every battle, but we can read those battles which UPSC has asked in their PYQs. So whenever you are solving these kind of PYQs, Battle of Buxar, Wandy Wash, you know. Battle of Chiliawala and Kharda, you have to research a bit because UPSC has asked question on it, and that's why you look at PYQs. The last 30 years PYQs, I always say, for history you can, like, you have to go backward, first complete the last 10 years and then go as backward as possible because history is more or less static in nature, sir and ma'am, you know. So Battle of Chiliawala, Battle of Kharda, this you have to revise. Fine. So this is Battle of Chiliawala, 13 January 1849, associated with Second Anglo-Sikh War. We'll talk about Sikh, we'll talk about all these things, and again, here Britishers faced a shock. They realized, or they faced some reverses in this particular Battle of Chiliawala associated with Second Anglo-Sikh War. Then you have this Battle of Kharda, which was happening around 1795. At that time, your Governor General was John Shore. And John Shore was following a policy of non-intervention, that I don't care who is fighting whom, I will be having a neutral approach. And during this period, Nizam and Marathas were fighting with each other. Marathas won. So that is the story, Battle of Kharda. And since UPSC has asked it as one of the option, so you should be knowing about them. Fine. Then let's brainstorm. This is a history optional question which has been asked by UPSC. And this question will give you so much conceptual clarity which will help you in pre, mains and everywhere. So let's try to look at this question. British fought the first Maratha war in a period when their fortunes were at lowest ebb. Comment. So again, as with any question, be it of mains or history optional, you will do an intro, body, conclusion. So in intro, you can talk about, you know, when this first Anglo-Maratha war happened, the intrigue and Raghunath Rao, what he was doing, blah, blah, blah. And then again, you can talk about that part in the intro, but here the body is all about how Britishers, it's not about Marathas per se. Their fortune, many people feel like which they are talking about. So there refers to Britishers. You can get confused here. So yes, we have to talk about how Britishers' fortune were at lowest ebb. So you can divide it into, you know, political ebb, economic ebb. So political ebb, during this period, they were also fighting the American War of Independence. You know, during this period, they were fighting two formidable powers in India. So when we are talking about first Anglo-Maratha war, so this is 1775 to 1782. And if we'll talk about Mysore, you will realize that Mysore wars happened like this: 1767, 69, 1780 to 84, you know, 1790 to 91, and then 1798, 99. So if you see this, the last 2 years of first Anglo-Maratha war is coinciding with the Second Anglo-Mysore War as well. So they were fighting two formidable rivals at the same time. French were there, so that was again an issue. Fourth Regulating Act was passed, which was creating issues for Warren Hastings. So all these are political ebb. Economic ebb, this is a period when EIC, English East India Company, had filed for bankruptcy. And that's why, so these are the points where you have to focus more on, and this is your body. You have to focus, like sometimes what happens, when we see First Maratha War, we start talking about First Maratha War. But here you don't have to talk about Maratha War. That is just an intro part. Here you have to focus on in this particular question, you have to focus on the lowest ebb of Britishers, how it was the lowest ebb. Politically and economically, that is the major quotient of this particular question. Fine, sir and ma'am. So here you can start with this intro. Between Marathas and Britishers, this happened. First Anglo-Maratha War, result of the ambition of Raghunath Rao, who was the uncle of 4th and 5th Peshwa, Madhav and Narayan Rao, respectively. And then what happened, circumstances leading to all these bol bachchan are fine. But this is just the intro part. You have still not gone to the body. Body is about the ebb part. Madhav Rao died due to wasting disease. If you know the difference between wasting and stunting, you can post it in the comments section, sir and ma'am. And Narayan Rao was killed because of the jealousies and palace intrigues. Raghunath Rao claimed the Gaddi, and after that what happened, you can have a look at it. Treaty of Surat was first signed by Raghunath Rao, signed away the Maratha independence. And after this first Anglo-Maratha War ended, Treaty of Salbai was signed. And now this was the circumstance. Again, British were only, you can have a look at this. Let's come to the body part, or the important part, political ebb. They were also fighting, Britishers were also fighting American War of Independence. Two battles, two formidable rivals they were fighting at the same time, Marathas and Mysore. Countering French, Regulating Act 1773, we'll talk about all these acts. Like I will try to make one single video for all acts from 1773 to 1935, or max 2 videos, and you have to watch those 2 videos and your concepts will be crystal clear because you will be connecting the dots. So again, Regulating Act, the issues faced by Warren Hastings. What happened? Executive Council of 4 members and Warren Hastings. So 3 members were saying something, nobody was listening to Warren Hastings. Sometimes friction happened, and that's why he was very sad, Warren Hastings, that nobody is listening to me. Oh my God, I will cry. Economic ebb, EIC is was on the verge of bankruptcy in 1770s. So these were the points which proved that Britishers were at their lowest ebb during this first Anglo-Maratha War. It is to the credit of Warren Hastings that he overcome almost all dangers and safeguarded British interest, fought all these 2, formidable rivals, and ensured that Britishers don't face too many reverses. Fine, sir and ma'am. So yes, sir, our batch 2, UPSC IAS English, Sampurna batch 2, is closing. Like the admission for batch 2 is closing on 28th February, that is today, and you can take admission and you can use this code SHS Live. And you will get maximum discount. SHS Live. You can see it in the below portion also. This sticker is going on. So you can use it for this course, or let's say you're for any other course you're using, whatever course you want to take for like preparing for UPSC, you can use this code SHS Live. So this is the point which you have to keep in mind. And yes, if you want me to share this PDF, I will share this PDF. I think I have shared PDF till, I don't remember which lecture, but I will keep on sharing and you will get all the PDFs. You don't need to worry about it. You can join my Telegram channel where I'll be sharing the PDFs. Fun study with Shubh, because study should be fun. So that's it from me for this particular lecture. I will see you soon. Till then, take care, be blessed, tata, bye bye.